When we think about the biggest costs in construction, our minds immediately go to things like steel, concrete, or maybe some massive piece of machinery. But what if I told you the single most expensive thing on a job site is something you can't see or touch? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a hidden cost that can absolutely sink a project. So let me ask you this. What do you think is the most expensive tool on any given construction site? Seriously, what comes to mind? Is it that giant crane lifting beams into the sky? Maybe a powerful excavator? Or some of that super high-tech laser surveying equipment? Well, what if it's none of the above?
The answer, believe it or not, is silence. Yup, that quiet moment when a question doesn't get asked, when an important update doesn't get shared, or when someone sees a problem but doesn't voice their concern. That right there, that's where the real money gets lost. This silence is the seed for one of the industry's biggest, most expensive headaches.
And that headache has a name: rework. It's exactly what it sounds like, having to tear something down and do it all over again because it wasn't done right the first time. Just picture it. A crew spends a whole day pouring a massive concrete foundation. The next morning, they find out the specs were updated yesterday, and now they have to tear it all out. That's rework. And it's a brutal triple threat of wasted time, wasted materials, and wasted labor. Okay, so how do these incredibly expensive mistakes happen so often? Well, it turns out the root cause is usually baked right into how these projects are structured. Let's take a closer look at these cracks in communication. A construction project isn't just one big team, right? It's more like a temporary alliance of dozens of super specialized teams. You've got your architects, your engineers, electricians, plumbers, masons, project managers. The list goes on. Each of these teams has their own expertise, their own priorities, and frankly, their own language. And if you don't have a rock-solid communication plan, it's not a beautiful symphony. It's an orchestra where every single person is playing from a different sheet of music. It's just chaos. And here's how that chaos spirals out of control. It's a domino effect. It almost always starts with something small, like a simple missed email about a design change. That tiny bit of missing info leads to a huge misunderstanding. A team ends up working off old, outdated plans. The result? A big execution error, like a wall being built in the completely wrong spot. And just like that, the entire project can grind to a halt, leading to, you guessed it, that costly rework and major delays. And this really shows you the two different worlds, the two paths a project can take. On the left, you've got the dream, the plan, everything running smoothly, on time, on budget. But on the right, you've got the reality. When communication breaks down, just a frustrating cycle of unexpected rework, maddening delays, and budgets that are completely blown. But here's the good news. This cycle is not inevitable at all. This is a totally solvable problem. It just requires a different way of thinking. You have to shift from reacting to mistakes to proactively creating a blueprint for clarity from day one. So let's talk about what that blueprint actually looks like. This whole framework really stands on a few key pillars. It all starts with crystal clear instructions, leaving zero room for misinterpretation. Then you need constant coordination. I'm not talking about a weekly check-in. I mean daily huddles to make sure everyone is synced up. It's also about killing ambiguity. Don't say, get this done ASAP. Give a firm deadline. And maybe the most important piece of all, having one centralized place for all project updates. One single source of truth that everyone can rely on. I love this quote from a seasoned project manager because it just nails the point. A simple 10-minute briefing in the morning can literally prevent a 10-day delay down the line. Think about that. That is an absolutely incredible return on your time. It's basically the ultimate preventative maintenance for a project schedule. So what happens when you actually build your project on this foundation of clear communication? What's the real tangible payoff? Well, the results are huge, and they hit the bottom line directly. I mean, just look at the results here. First off, a huge reduction in costs, mostly because you're getting rid of all that painful rework. But it doesn't stop there. Efficiency goes way up, which means your teams are working faster and smarter, not harder. And all of this contributes to a much higher rate of overall project success, which means you're finishing on time, on budget, and actually delivering a quality result. This really reframes the entire conversation, doesn't it? We tend to think of time spent in meetings or writing updates as a cost, but it's not an expense at all. It's an investment. And honestly, it might be the single best investment you can possibly make for the success of your project. When you see it laid out like this, it just clicks. On one side, you have the massive, unpredictable, and soul-crushing cost of rework. And on the other, you have the small, predictable, and manageable cost of coordination. The choice becomes so clear, right? A tiny investment upfront can save you an absolute fortune down the road. So I'll leave you with this final thought. And really, this goes way beyond construction. It applies to any kind of teamwork. Where's the silence in your projects? What's one small change you could make? Maybe it's a daily check-in, maybe it's a shared document that could start breaking that silence and building a much stronger foundation for success. Something to think about. Thanks for tuning in.